Honorable Men Discord. Careful the company you keep, part 5, the 911 audio. Let's talk about it.
How you see yourself is how you perceived. I see a man strong, gifted, head strapping, never down on his knees, begging. Gotta make a way, even in my darkest hour. Say the odds against me was new. I would never cower.
As always, welcome back to another episode. If you haven't already, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend to tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to go straight into this. The jig is up, the jig is up, the jig is up. I know on part 4, I was trying to be, I don't even know if fair is the right word, diplomatic maybe, about this, about the possibility of maybe there was foul play on land, on Horn Island, as opposed to it being his friends directly, his quote-unquote friends, excuse me, directly. But the audio, the jig is up. The jig is up. The Mississippi public sworn officials being, and when I say public sworn officials, I'm talking about the sheriff, I'm talking about the medical examiner, I'm talking about Mississippi as a state and their officials that may know more than the public knows, and they were doing their best to cover this up. This is why I said in part 4, take your attention away from Ben Crump and the errors he was making while I was reading the autopsy report. This is why I say avoid the paying attention to the smoke and mirrors, the people in the comment section talking about Al Sharpton, and Al Sharpton's only there for the money. And then, I don't see any sympathy for I don't see a lot of sympathy for the mother and the father grieving the loss of their son. I tell everyone, stay focused. All right. The reason why this is the most covered episode in my channel's inception, within my channel's inception, is because of the blatant way about this case, that it was like they were intentionally trying to just sweep everything under the rug, and like everything else when it involves incidents with melanated people, they want to just get over with it, move on with the day. Drowning, nothing to see here. It's not pressing. Let's move on. No, I didn't believe it from the beginning. There was a lot of mysterious parts to this event that happened on July 4th, and I will continue to report on this. I don't care if it goes up to the 10th episode. There's no limit to how many episodes I'm going to do on this, because I'm that passionate about it. I'm that passionate about injustice, especially when it takes place with public officials. When it takes place with the common folk, that's expected. But I told you about the solidarity in silence, where even when this supposed friend sat down with Officer Tatum, which I don't like. Which the funny thing about this whole interview that he did is he did exactly what he normally does, is try to polish things up and target black people as if he's not black himself. But the thing with him, and I'm not going to go off on a rant on him, he clearly is not proud to be black. And I'm not saying being proud to be black means to cover up lies and scandals and crimes. Don't get me with that. It's the way in which he talks about black people from his channel. All right, it's like he's disgusted with black people as a whole, and he's a black man. Now, myself, I'm proud to be black, despite the fact that there are some blacks out there that are doing things that I'm not proud of. All right, but I'm not going to get into that. This is about Nolan Wells. This is about justice for Nolan. This is about the jig is up. Let's get into this audio and the stuff I have queued up, and then I'll talk about it further. Let's go.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello? All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello? All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello? 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 Hello?
All right. The reason why this audio slowed it down is the person in the background is saying Nolan's freaking dead. Here's the story, clear as day, folks. All right. And I know there's gonna be people on other social media platforms jumping in the comments, still talking this dumb shit about And yes, I'm cursing. I'm tired. I'm actually pissed off. I'm pissed off because people, much like the sheriff who jumped out of the out of thin air and publicly declared that it was a drowning. People who don't care to hear anything about injustice when it comes to black people, and when black people start speaking about it, they turn they turn the blind eye, so to speak. They jump in the comment section. It's like it was a drowning, get over it. And then you got a bunch of people who actively do boat trips saying there's nothing out of the norm here, nothing to talk about. No, there's something to talk about, and now it's clear as day. All right, it's clear as day. You hear the people in the background. What I think happened, right, just based off of this, are the quote unquote friends killers, murderers? I don't think it's that simple. I'm not going to put that on them, and that's me being fair, because in other cases, much like the Carmelo Anthony, he's a murderer. In the comment section, he's a murderer. Why'd he go to attract me with a knife? As though he showed up there looking to unalive someone, right? Same thing applies here, but you notice how I say I don't believe, even though they were lying, along with the public officials were lying, right? I think they panicked because they're teenagers. They panicked. The person that they came on the boat with doesn't seem to be responding. They absolutely panicked in the background. The problem is they probably told one friend to make the phone call, but they were trying to navigate it. They were trying to multitask. They're trying to get ahead of it. So part of them probably wanted assistance, but they didn't want to disclose too much information. Was there an issue with the boat? Possibly there was an issue with the boat, but there was more pressing issues in the fact that Nolan's life was disappearing in front of their eyes. They didn't know how to handle it. And so they lied, which is why when I spoke about on the other episodes that why is it that only one friend decided to sit down with Officer Tatum? That makes no sense to me. All right. And I would love people to jump in the comments and justify this for me. You could say, oh, the other boys just don't want to be a part of it. They're still mourning the loss of their friend. I call bullshit. OK. And yes, I'm cursing on this episode because enough is enough. The jig is up. This is episode 5. I'm not sugarcoating shit now. I'm not being diplomatic with the way I'm presenting this. All right. They panicked. They tried to simultaneously make a call. Maybe the boat was going through stuff, but at the same time, whatever took place that they did to Nolan, all right, they were trying to get a hold of that. Now, you can say, well, maybe they didn't do anything to Nolan. Maybe he overdosed or something. Let's say that's the case. Let's go with that, right? Nevertheless, they lied. They made it seem as though he stayed on the island, all right? So they lied there. They never admitted to him being on the boat heading back to town, heading back to the dock. They never admitted that. So they lied several times. The quote unquote friend who had the interview with Officer Tatum said the same thing. He threw it back on Katie. They're throwing everything on Katie. Poor Katie didn't even want to speak about it. Allegedly, her sister spoke on her behalf and said that the boys were lying. The last thing Katie saw was that Nolan was actually going to get on the boat with the boys. All right? So lies after lies after lies. What makes it worse is that Officer Tatum thinks he's doing the white community a favor. All right? Chucking and jiving over there doing the interviews. Going all the way to Mississippi. You got a family that's mourning the loss. Just to show you how foolish the man is. Right? Profiting off of being Bojangle. He goes to Mississippi, holds an interview to try to show that, listen, these boys are innocent boys, right? They're not innocent boys, Officer Tate. Tatum, whatever his name is. I would hope you would do a follow-up interview, or at least on your channel, admit that you're an idiot for going out there acting as though you know the truth. I know the truth. Even going to the spot where his body washed up on shore. If not placed there at this point after hearing this 911 call. Listen, I could go on and on ranting, but I'll be honest with you, this episode was not the one that was queued up for today. But with hearing this, it pissed me off to the point where I pushed the other episode to Sunday, and I want to get through this so I could edit it and get this up to speed. But I'm going to play this audio several times because it's just that important. All right, so let's get to the next thing that I have queued up.
Listen closely. You can hear them say Nolan is about to die at 16 seconds.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Corn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey,
Is the yes? How far is the water coming up, sir?
it's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
All right, well, let's get you going. Membership number or phone number listed on the account, sir.
I don't know the phone number. It's either Jerry Atkerson. I think it's Jerry Atkerson.
If you listen closely, you can hear them say Nolan is about to die at 16 seconds.
Detail assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Corn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the water coming up, sir?
Okay, that was just repeating. Listen, the jig is up, and what I want you black people to pay attention to, particularly black men, is now that the audio is out there, it seems in crimes that are committed where black individuals are involved, not only do they lie, it's clear that they lie. This is an example. This is just one example coming out of Mississippi, and let's not act like the other states don't do things to this degree. All right, let's not be naive and act as though the other states, in some form or fashion, do the same thing. What I'm interested in knowing now that this audio is clear as day, right? Which they took a long time to put this out. I don't even know who released this audio, right? Maybe because the feds got involved. Maybe the audio is now put out there. I don't even know. I don't even know if I could give the federal government credit, because I think corruption goes all the way to the top. All right. I don't believe that anything comprised of human beings that are flawed, and that goes for any nationality, by the way. All right. So for those of you that watch this, it's like, oh, you're race baiting. Listen, I think scandal, lies, deceit, unethical behavior, it goes across color lines. But the problem in this world is the world likes to pin it on certain people and say, oh, this group of people, they're the ones, you know. Yeah, we're the ones that are so corrupt, right? That's what you'd have us believe. Bullshit. I call bullshit on that. This whole thing is bullshit because the spokesman, who's probably the same one who's on this audio, the one who sat down with Officer Tatum, is probably the same one whose voice you're hearing on this thing. He sounds similar. That's what I'm trying to look up his name. I didn't catch his name, but I'm gonna catch it throughout this episode as I still look at it, right? It's not saying the kid's name. But listen, the point is, it's clear as day that if it was just an issue with the boat when the 911 call had, you wouldn't be hearing that much commotion going on. You would have been like, it's too much water, it's too much water, something relative to the boat. But you're hearing other stuff aside from the boat, and you're hearing it's real frantic, it's real, nerves are raging. It's a sense of desperation and fear of like, if he's actually not alive, what are we gonna do now? Right? You hear panic, extreme panic. All right, and for those people who are detractors and constantly jumping in comments talking about the boy drowned, I would like to hear from you. Please step to the front now after this 911 call. And the fact of the matter is, I don't even think those people that were saying that it was just a drowning, I don't even think they care to know that they were wrong. And they definitely won't take accountability, much like the accountability that they jump in the comment section expecting from black people, yelling out, these people are never they never hold themselves accountable for anything. It's funny, the stuff that I've read in comment sections, not in my comment section per se, not in my comment section per se, but just from covering this case and going through the comment section of what people are saying, these are the type of things that I've read, and it's just ridiculous. But the jig is up. The jig is absolutely up.
The Nolan Wells case, y'all remember when the judge, the stepmama, came out and was trying to give timestamps to try to clear the air or whatever? She also released a small snippet of the phone call to try to back up the story that they had to call for maintenance for the boat. Yeah, the beginning of that phone call is now released. And all those kids that was on that fucking boat were fucking panicking. They were panicking. They already knew something was wrong with Nolan while they were on the phone, waiting for that person, whoever that they spoke to pick up so they could report that there was an issue with the boat. You hear people calling his name. You hear a young lady say, "Is he dead?" You hear somebody also tell him to wake up. You hear his name being screamed in the beginning before they are connected with a representative.
Listen.
Warren Hudson. The kid's name is Warren Hudson. Okay? That's who Officer Tatum, whose real name is Brandon Tatum, that's who he interviewed, Warren Hudson. I wouldn't be surprised if Warren Hudson is the same person who made the 911 call. Why do I come to that assumption? I come to that assumption because he obviously has enough strength to not only sit down on the couch and tell his tale of his side of the story, right? But he has enough strength after losing a friend to go back to the actual location where his friend was found with no tears, no pause, no choking up. And I know everyone's different, but listen, if my friend passed away at my hands, especially if I knew that I was on the boat with him when he passed, I'm not giving an interview. But see, some people are so confident that they could just throw on their game face, much like an interview. That whole thing that he was doing was much like an interview. He was so brash in believing that he could sit on the couch and tell this tale and go back to the location and we would all just digest it as the truth. That he actually was unaware of the fact that the 911 call was out there and would eventually reach the people. Now that it's out here, I really, really would love to hear from Brandon Tatum, you know, because they praise him for putting out truth. That's another thing I read in the comments. When I see certain things, they speak so highly about Brandon Tatum, Officer Tatum, about putting the truth out there. He's a champion for the white community, right? But if he's such an honorable man in the way he conducts the things that he reports on, which I don't believe he is, then I would expect him on his platform or at some point in time to admit he had it wrong. These boys weren't innocent. But will he do like most people do, stay silent, or even more so, just avoid discussing this topic and move on to other topics because he realizes like, oh man, he had it all wrong. And not that it would matter if he even did own up to the fact that he had it wrong. You notice he even paid more attention to Crump and Al Sharpton when discussing this case. That's where his focus was. It wasn't on necessarily so much on the family and the grief that they were going through or that they are going through. It's ongoing. But I don't mean to make this about Officer Tatum, but since he decided to make the exclusive interview to boost up more views on his channel, I am talking about him. And since he's the only one that was capable of getting one of the boys to show up, again, one of the things that I forgot to finish in what I was saying, something I forgot to finish when I was talking, was that if I was innocent and I was on the boat with my other friends, all of us are sitting down on that couch, not just me. All right? It's either we're all doing it or I'm not doing it. Yeah, so the logic in just one of the quote-unquote friends sitting on the couch, to me, is telling in itself. Again, I didn't watch any of that and digested it as the truth. I watched it because I wanted to hear what this kid has to say. And many of you probably seen the video of a professional who was able to look at that video. And I guess his profession is decoding body language. And he said through that interview that he didn't believe the guy was telling the truth. All right. Let's carry on.
On that boat. Nolan was on that motherfucking boat. There is an audio that is out. I am going to play it. They are in the background as they called the people because they were sinking, right? The boat's supposed to be sinking. They were not in panic, but you can hear in the background somebody saying, "Don't die. Don't die. Is he all right? Nolan, get the fuck up." You can hear that, guys. Please, please, please open your ears to hear this. Hearing that damn voicemail got my motherfucking heart going. I can't even motherfucking sleep, okay? I try to go back to sleep.
Black people, let me say this. And I know I paused the video. Black people, let me say this. Stop being delusional. Stop being naive. You've seen cases with with video, and we somehow still lose those cases. These things weren't in place to save us. These things were not put in place to save us. It's clear as day. You would think in 2026, video would be sufficient. You got officers with body cams. You got all types of CCTV cameras mounted at establishments. It doesn't necessarily always work out for us in most cases, having video footage. Here now is audio. Let's see how they try to spin this. I'd love to see the comment section spin this audio. Oh, you don't know what you're hearing. That's not what I heard. I would love to see the comment section. Race to the comment section on TikTok, please, folks. After watching this video, race to the comment section and see if anyone is bold enough to spin the audio that we just heard. All right. 4th of July, no witnesses we're supposed to believe, no videos, except for the one that they slowed it down, panning, and somebody was arguing on the beach, right? So really no video. And then now with the 911 call, I want to see how people spin this. Black men, black women, pay attention. Pay attention, pay attention. I'm going to let her continue speaking, but stay out the way. Stay out the way. The best advice I could give you as Unc is enjoy your alone time. You don't have to be outside. That whole outside stuff is overrated. I'm telling you that as Unc. My peace is me being with myself. And when I choose to hang out with people, it's not large crowds. It's me and another person. Maybe me and two other people. Small circle, keep it safe, keep it out the way. I don't need people knowing where I'm at. I don't need large crowds. I don't need validation. That's the way of an Unc. All right, that's the way I perform. But I'm just letting you know, as you get older, your circle gets small anyway, because half of the people in your circle, if not 75%, is all phony anyway. They're all talking behind your back. They don't really care to invest in you. They don't really even care to support you. They barely even care to lend a hand if you need something small. This is just facts. Now, if you're the exception to the rule and you have an exceptional group of friends, this doesn't apply. All right. I'm not here to spew anything where it's like you're miserable. I'm not here to spew misery, but I'm here to spew facts. There's not a lot of people who that big circle that they started with, whether you're gang affiliated, and you were the man on the block, you were the man in high school. There's not a lot of people who carry that circle all the way through. And yeah, you might be able to pick up the phone or call them, but who can you really call and show up? That's when you realize your circle is extra small, and there's nothing wrong with it. I'm telling you right now, as Unc, there is nothing wrong with a small circle. I absolutely love it. I love it, and I'm not saying that because I'm salty about anything. I'm going to be very clear on that. I love having an absolute small circle. All right?
I can't do it. I can't. Please, listen to this.
All right, she's just playing the audio over. I'm not going to do that again. You could just rewind this video. I want to go into this guy. Again, I try to find content from knowledgeable people in specific fields. I do play, common reactions, common folk like myself, but listen to what this gentleman had to say.
Wells' friends' boats were sinking, but they didn't want the U.S. Coast Guard there at all. I'm going to play that recording for you in a minute, but to be clear, the U.S. Coast Guard, their goal is to make sure that you survive. They have water pumps that take the water off your boat. They have life-saving measures. They have multiple representatives there to help you off that boat and to safely and securely put you back on land, at least on their boat to land. But why didn't Nolan Wells' group of friends want the U.S. Coast Guard there? Take a listen to what they say.
Hey, we're at the west tip of Bourne, and
They're
our
sinking.
village pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have.
Listen to the
Yes.
emergency.
How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
So you hear him say, I don't know, we're sinking, we're going down. That means they need help now.
Is the boat sinking or you have it aground?
We were sinking. Yeah.
Now listen.
All right. Do you need the United States Coast Guard?
What?
It's
Do
okay.
you need the United States Coast Guard?
No, we do not need that.
So in those clips, you heard him say multiple times, we're either going down or we're sinking, we're taking on water. But no, we do not need the United States Coast Guard. We just need to be towed out of here. Well, if the tow company, which is known as Sea Tow, doesn't get there in time, you will go in the water. So wouldn't it make sense to have the U.S. Coast Guard there? And yes, I heard about the alleged grandfather calling and saying everything is fine moving forward. That's another video.
Yeah, that whole grandfather thing also, that's them. That's the solidarity in silence. That's their public officials. That's people that know people in high positions. You know, one of the boys or one of the persons on the one of the occupants on the boat made that phone call so that that person can call the people that they know to put everything in play. The boys on the boat with someone who's unresponsive. We need to get a hold of that now. This whole thing, listen, when this is all done, I expect charges against the judge, the medical examiner. They're all responsible. Indirectly, they're still responsible. The grandfather, all right. The captain, I learned from doing this episode, I learned that the captain, whoever lent these boys a boat, no one even questioned that. They're 18, they're around the age, they're 18. I don't think there's anyone much older than that. And they're taking out a boat to go to enjoy 4th of July. And that might be the norm out there. That might be the norm in some communities, but that's crazy to me. All right. So the captain who lent them the boat, because I'm pretty sure none of those boys owned the boat. And even if they did, whoever's the responsible captain of the boat, because there's always a designated captain of the boat who's responsible for those occupants on the boat, that person is responsible and liable for the passing of Nolan Wells. But at the very beginning of all of this, they're all responsible simply for lying, for giving out misinformation. The sheriff is responsible. Sheriff should lose his job, judge should lose her job, medical examiner lose your job, because I believe the medical examiner, I don't know the complete protocol, but for sending over a body to Washington without its organs, all the organs necessary to complete a successful second autopsy, is you need to go to jail also. All right, this should be like the RICO of what? How should I frame this? I want to frame this really eloquently. And I thought about this the other day with this whole episode. You know, that when you think of RICO, you think of at one point in time you thought about the Italian mob and how the government honed in on what the mob was doing, the Italian mobs were doing. And then now, most recently, when you think RICO, you think of the black drug dealers, all right? Gang affiliates, RICO. But there's another form of RICO that we need to start highlighting, which this whole Mississippi thing is pointing out, is the RICO of criminal silence between certain communities when it involves crimes of black people. Crimes involving black people. It's a type of RICO of the silent, of knowingly remaining silent and knowingly lying and leaving out information. I know I didn't frame it correctly. Once I have it framed correctly, I'll probably mention it on the part 6, because I'm pretty sure there's going to be a part 6. But the jig is up. All right, I'm gonna play this last clip. All right.
Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update, and this is insane. You have to hear this audio in the beginning where they're calling for the emergency.
Oh, by the way, before I forget, you know, for those people that jump in the comment section talking about raise baiting, and again, I'm not talking about my comment section per se. Again, for putting this together, I go in the comment section of other streamers, and I read the comment sections. And some of the things that I see, again, is ridiculous. All right. especially if you are someone who is non-biased or claim to be non-biased, like most of these people claim to be non-biased. You ask me if I'm non-biased, I would say I am non-biased. I am non-biased because if it, because I'm willing to admit if I saw it wrong. That's one. That's why I say I'm non-biased. And if I am biased to something, it's because I see the injustice in it. Like I see the injustice in this and how it's handled. But if I'm non-biased, then I'm willing to admit that I saw it wrong and I was wrong for seeing it that way. I'm willing to do so. But if this is not about race, it's clearly about race. All right. So for those people who are pointing out black people and saying, "Oh, you're making this about race," this is in fact about race, because this is about how race, the community, silently bands together to sweep things under the rug when it involves minorities. So don't tell me it's not about race when the whole community, including public officials, have tried to sweep this under the rug as a drowning. Would they have done it if the child was a white child? Would they have swept it under the rug like this? Or would they at least make the 911 call and say, listen, we have someone that's unresponsive on the boat. But see, they didn't want to take accountability. There goes that word again that they say in the comment section that black people don't do. They didn't want to take accountability for a lifeless body on the boat. So they were trying to figure out and navigate what to do with it, which is why at some point in time, they need to also, aside from the 911 calls, they need to check the log of the boats that went back to the island, because his body wasn't there on July 5th, but it just showed up on the 6th. Now, you could say it was just at the bottom of the ocean, or it was moving around with the current. You can say that. Possibly, I'm not an expert in waves. I said that before, maybe on like part 3 of this. Maybe that's the case. But they still need to check the logs of every boat since his passing, right? Since the missing report was out, since the father went with a boat, they need to check all the logs of the boats that went, all right? And I'm pretty sure there's GPS to track what boats went in that area, the specific area where his body washed up to shore, because that's the next thing, all right? That's the next thing that I would pay attention to. What boats moved in that area? Because I want to investigate those boats, those captains, those people that were on the boat. Because is it possible they placed him there? Is it possible the sheriff's department placed him there? All of those things are possible. I don't care what anybody says at this point. It's just lies on top of lies, and you want black people to just digest it as the truth, and it's all bullshit. And yes, again, I'm cursing on this episode. Let me finish this video. I'm going to conclude, and then that'll be it.
For their bilge pump, and they're taking on water. I swear you can hear her say, "Oh my God, is he dead?" and yells, "Nolan." Listen to the audio.
Connect you.
Tito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, where's the...
All right.
Let me just say this, because I already played this audio in the beginning. Let me be very clear in closing. All right, and I will go back to playing the rest of this video, but let me just be very, very clear in closing. I do not hate white people. All right, I don't hate white people. Right. What I do hate is when certain groups of white people try to tell black people to forget about the past, particularly the past in this country. All right. I'm not here to talk about there were some Africans that also were involved in slavery, because that is a truth. It's a truth that's hard to digest at times, but it is a truth, right? What I am here to talk about is the history here in the United States. All right. Black men, black women, do not turn away from the history that took place in this country. There's going to be certain groups of white people, and I'm being very clear here. There's going to be certain groups of white people that try to make you feel like you're crazy for still remembering the past, crazy for still bringing up the past, right? Oh, that was 300 years. Oh, how many years ago? That was, how many years ago that was, right? But ironically, this Mississippi case is exactly why don't forget about your history. And I'm not promoting you knowing your history and hating white people. No, that's not what I'm promoting. What I am promoting is don't be naive and take everything you hear from a white person as the truth. And again, this does not apply to those white people, those Caucasians, if you want to be politically correct. Meanwhile, there's some people that constantly call black people black. Not all black people are the shade of black, right? So I'm not here to be politically correct. What I am here to say is never forget your past. Never forget the black history in this country. And please do not be naive as to think that these things don't happen in a different form or fashion. All right? Know your history well. And I'm saying that not just to those of you watching this. I say that to myself. I need to know my history more than I do now. But the little that I do know and the little bit that my eyes is witnessing here in 2026 and the previous years before that in my lifetime, don't be naive. This world is not out there to pat you on the back, to encourage you, to be loving towards you, to be forgiving, to be accountable, to be honest, to be humane. This world, if you're looking for those things, you're being naive. Will those things come from time to time? Absolutely. There are some loving people. There's some sincere people out there. There are some sincere people. And I say people. I'm not saying any particular race because there are sincere people of all races. I'm aware of that. As a grown-ass man, I'm aware of that. There are some sincere people out there. There are honest people out there of all races. I've met them. I know them by name. I'm not going to say their names. I know them by name. And if you met me in person and I verbally vocalize that I respect you because you earned that respect. And I don't see shade in respecting somebody. I don't see shade in loving someone for who they are and how honest and kind they are, how humane they are. That I respect. I salute that. All shades of life, I salute that. What I don't respect is the groups of people that are out there knowingly taking part in crimes, turning the blind eye to crimes, and not helping other people that don't have the resources and the authority to fend for themselves. Again, this is why I'm not a fan of making jokes about Ben Crump when he was reading the autopsy report. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me to be making jokes about Ben Crump? Are you out there on the front line doing something? Don't worry about Ben Crump's pockets. Don't worry about Al Sharpton's pockets. At least they're out there with the family holding hands and comforting them on camera. I don't care about the money part about it. You guys are losing sight of the bigger picture. The bigger picture is we're losing as a whole because there's groups of people in states that are performing things like this that's going on in Mississippi, hoping that it would have been swept under the rug. All right? And this is why honorable men, what I try to do with this channel is, one, highlight the fact that, you know, there's people within our community that are intellectually inclined. They're intelligent. And this is not about me, all right? I'm not talking about myself because I myself am far from perfect. I'm still a work in progress. I wanted this channel to be about those of you that are out there that have something to say, something thought-provoking to say, have something insightful to say, to show us in another light. We're not buffoons. We don't just listen to rap music. Although I love rap music, I also rap myself. But we're more than just one facet, one thing. All right? That's the purpose of this. And I know I'm going off on a rant, but this is the conclusion to this episode. But don't be naive. Know your history. And these things do still take place. Don't let anyone tell you these things don't take place. They just take place in a different fashion. All right? But one thing is clear, that's what's going on here in Mississippi and with the sheriff's department. Again, examiner, medical examiner, the judge who's the mother of one of the guys, the quote-unquote friends on the boat. Some of the people that was in Horn Island Not all of them, because some of them probably weren't even docked near Nolan. They don't even know that this thing took place. It's possible. A lot of people, like the kid said, there was a lot of people out there on 4th of July. But there were some people that saw something and they said nothing. They're guilty also. Okay? The ones that saw something and said nothing, knowing they may have children around the age of Nolan, may be a different shade of children, but knowing they actually saw that boy get on the boat and they said nothing because they don't want to get involved. Oh, I'm not getting involved. Oh, you're not getting involved. Why? Because he's brown skinned? That's the people I have a problem with. And I stand on that, which is why it's on my video. So you could always play it back years later and say, you said that about, I absolutely did say it. I absolutely did say it. Don't be naive. Listen, I'm concluding here. I want to edit this. I want to have this up and ready for the time it's supposed to release. I appreciate all of you. Hit that like button on the way out. Hit that subscribe button. Tell a friend and tell a friend. I drop episodes daily at 5 p.m. Eastern time. And as always, stay honorable.